I know Rakia wasn't able to be at the game Wednesday. Is she feeling any better? Do you expect her to at least be able to be at the game Sunday?
She is feeling better, yeah. And part of us keeping her away, we didn't want to risk her teammates getting sick. So we'll have her back around today.
After the game on Wednesday, you mentioned how the lesson was that you just have to win those games. How have you been kind of preaching how they can do that against Ohio State this Sunday?
Well, I think our players have to understand how small margin of error that we have. A couple plays here and there make a huge difference. And I think the stacked plays, the combination of a turnover, giving up an offensive board, a missed shot, can give another team the run. So I think understanding how all those small plays are leading to big moments, but also want them to stay confident in who they are, in who we are moving forward. I think that's really important.
How did you assess the last 20, 30 seconds of that game against Notre Dame? And then how often do y'all work on those late game scenarios in practice?
Yeah, we work on those throughout the preseason and throughout the season. I thought our late game execution on a side bounce play was really good. We got a great look, just missed it, and then ended up using our timeout, so we didn't have an opportunity to advance in those. I think the last two or last one for sure. But you've got to be able to convert on one of those. So we practice those. We will also watch them on film, talk through some of those moments as well.
After letting up the kind of lead that you all did in the last game, how do you get your team to refocus, rebound after this pretty short turnaround coming to this game?
Yeah, it is. I think there's this balance of finding ways to correct, finding ways to be better, but understanding that we're just right there. And, so maintaining their confidence, making sure they understand they can make plays, they prove they can make plays, but it's just being a little bit more focused in that stretch. So as a coach, as their coaching staff, we got to go out and correct those things and continue to help them be better in those moments.
There's no Tamari last game. I know she's playing pretty limited minutes. Is there anything physically that's holding her back, or was that just kind of based on the game Wednesday?
Yeah, the game, I think the quicker games, the games that move up and down, are a little bit harder for her to get up and down the floor.
Jasmine Powell was talking about after the game, they allowed themselves to get sped up in that third quarter. Just how do you kind of help them figure out how to control the pace in those moments and maybe slow things back down and not just kind of let that compound?
Yeah, I think it was actually a combination of getting sped up, but also I thought we got slowed down as well. And the slowed down may not be as much pace as it was the lack of aggressiveness we had in the third quarter. So I think in those moments, in those runs, we've got to go to what works. We've got to go back to the habits that we have that are really good. And I think that's where we went astray in those moments. And that's just, confidence in yourself and confidence in what we're doing and confidence in each other.
In that first half against Notre Dame, it seemed you had really found some combos on the court that were working really well. Are there any specific duos, trios that you like out on the court right now?
Yeah, I think there are different combinations that I think have been playing well together. And then there are some that, maybe not as much. And I think for us right now, we don't have, we're not as deep. We don't have 16 players. So for us, I think everybody has to contribute. So regardless of the combinations, we have to find ways for each group to be productive. And I think we can do a little bit better job of that.
Last year, Ohio State gave you a lot of trouble pressing, caused you to turn the ball over. How have you been working on making sure that's not an issue on Sunday?
Well, that's our big focus today. We were off yesterday, so today's our first practice back since our Notre Dame game. we were in control of that game until we weren't, and it was late, and it was our turnovers. So that's what they do. They press, and their defense wears on you. And honestly, there is a physicalness to it, but it's very taxing mentally. And that's part of their game plan. They know they're going to keep doing what they do for 40 minutes and eventually wear you down. And I think that's where you've got to be consistent. You got to be strong. You got to play through mistakes. Those are things that we're going to work on with our team today.
Do you think having Memphis throw a press at you, especially with transfers who didn't play in that game last year, like Destiny Wells and Jewel Spear, kind of help prepare you for Ohio State?
You know, I hope that any experiences we have that we can relate to, whether it's offense or defense. I mean, some of the schemes that we've guarded from different teams are going to be similar to what we see. Not completely, but there may be a few actions. So we go back to when people pressed us, when people guarded us a certain way, when people ran certain offenses. We always pull back from those experiences, and hopefully it will be something that gives us a comfort level and some confidence.
Ohio State has a lot of his scoring threats, size, physicality on offense. Just where do you want to see for your team defensively on Sunday?
Yeah, I think defensively, for us, they do a really good job of cutting. They do a good job of taking what the defense gives them. Their spacing is good. So we've got to communicate at an elite level to be able to know what's happening prior to it happening. I think we have to really know who we're guarding, and we have to be locked in to guard. They've got penetrators, shooters. They got players that can do both. They got players that can post up. So they've got a little bit of everything with, like you said, really good size and physicality. So it'll be a huge challenge. And I think what we have to be able to do, regardless of that outcome, we've got to be able to produce on our next possession. And I think that's going to be stacking possessions is going to be really important.
I know you haven't had a firm timeline on Rakia's injury. Do you expect her to be active for this game?
Right now I don't have any new updates since obviously we were off yesterday since Wednesday. So we're just continuing to evaluate her every day.
How is she handling everything from a mental standpoint? I know it's probably hard to miss these big games when it's her senior year, kind of her last go at it.
I think she's really disappointed, that she can't be on the court. She's such a competitive player, and she loves playing basketball. I think you can see that passion from her when she steps out on the court. And so for someone to have that taken away, even for a brief amount of time, it's hard. It really is. And I think she's done an admirable job. I really do. I think it's a tough position, and we've asked her to stay engaged with with her teammates. We've asked her to be there for them, and obviously she couldn't be at the game on Wednesday, but her voice in the huddles has been so positive and very helpful for them.
Obviously, Tamari was in that role all of last year, having to sit out. Have you seen that it's kind of beneficial to now have Tamari be able to give advice to Rakia having to sit out, or even Avery sitting out, or Jasmine when she had to sit out that one game?
I don't know what that dialogue has been between them, but, it's, I think it's hard, and it's different when it's you. Right? I think when you see other people, you can pick them up and try to help them. But when it's you that actually has to sit out and miss it, I think it's harder. And but like I said, I'm really proud of how she's handling it.
When you look at that first half against Notre Dame, every single person was positively affecting the game in the plus minus. Mm-hmm. How can you guys build on that for Ohio State and going forward?
Well, I think we did some good things. And you're in a situation where 2 more plays, and we may be talking about a win. And I think that's where our players have to understand where we are. We have to weather this storm in a positive, with a positive outcome or outlook, because we've got a chance to be a good basketball team, a really good basketball team. We have to grow. We have to get better. I think they understand that, but you've got to be in a great space mentally to be able to do that. And that's what we're hoping to see from our team.
You talked about after the game Wednesday, the team started to get a little tight when the lead got down to 12.
Mm-hmm.
Being uncomfortable with a double-digit lead, how do you fix that, mentality within the team? Or is that something that might just be a little bit of a struggle till Rakia comes back?
I think it's hard for them, but I think it's something they've got to look inward. And in that moment, when when a team's making a run, I think you really have to dial it in to what you're doing in that moment. What is the process? What is your job in that moment? Not overcomplicate things because we're going to make positive plays. We're going to make negative plays. And we have to be able to go back to draw from what we know we're good at and what we can do. And that's where I thought we lost it a little bit and then got tight.
Thank you, Coach.
All right. Thank you, guys.